so it's worth paying attention. We'll be right back. Precedent, but not everyone caught up in it is taking it lightly. Parler, not the only tech company to file suit against Silicon Valley today. Just hours ago, the streaming service Rumble.com sued Google in federal court. Rumble alleges that Google has been unfairly rigging its search algorithms. According to the lawsuit, Google has been able to, quote, wrongfully divert massive traffic to YouTube, which, of course, it owns. Chris Pavlovski is the CEO of Rumble.com, and he joins us tonight. Chris, thanks so much for coming on. It sounds like what you're alleging is a pretty clear crime under antitrust law, is it not?
Tucker, thank you for having me on. So, yeah, in our complaint, what we're alleging is that Google is self-preferencing YouTube in their search engine, and they're also pre-installing the YouTube app on all the Google devices. Specifically and uniquely within the complaint, and is very unique to us, is that we were able to show that Google has redirected about up to 9.3 billion visitors from to YouTube instead of having it to Rumble. If those visitors had landed on Rumble.com, we would have generated over 100 million uploads on our platform, which would have resulted in damages well above in excess of $2 billion. But more importantly, who's getting affected here is not just Rumble. There's not just injury on Rumble right now. There's injury on over 2 million creators. And even further than that, I was one of those guys that was building up websites out of my parents' basement. And it really saddens me because imagine being a tech entrepreneur right now trying to build an online video platform. You absolutely do not have a shot. You don't have a chance. You have pre-installed YouTube apps on phones. You have a rigged search engine. And you have no ability to compete in this market. And that's why our complaint is extremely important to fight back against these tech monopolies that are unfairly rigging it for all of us.
Well, that's the argument against monopolies in the first place. They crush innovation, creativity, free thought, freedom itself. So Google clearly is a monopoly by any definition. Why do you suppose it has not been reined in?
So, you know, it's interesting because when YouTube was purchased by Google in 2006, late 2006, what we've noticed is that they've it's my opinion that they vertically integrated the YouTube into the search engine. And over time, they've continuously moved the goalposts over the last 15 years to make it more difficult over time for companies like us to compete. And one of the things that we allege in the complaint is, and we show, is if you search funny dogs on Rumble, you're going to get funny dogs on YouTube, which is crazy. When you think about that, yeah. If they can rig the search engine for dogs, cats and dogs, they can rig it for anything.
Right.
And that's right. Quite frightening.
Google should not have a monopoly on funny dogs, given all the other monopolies they have, including on public discourse. Chris, we're rooting for you. I appreciate you coming on. I hope you'll tell us what happens.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
So Democrats used to oppose monopolies only for like 100 years. By the way, if it's left to this show to oppose monopolies, something